Hello, welcome back. My name is Jaime Corona. I'm the owner and founder of New Horizon Counseling Center, also the co-founder of Therapy Boxing. In the last video, I talked a little bit about how Therapy Boxing was created and the reasoning behind Therapy Boxing. Today, I want to talk a little bit about what kind of candidates are good for therapy boxing because I get a lot of questions. Okay, what's the difference between therapy boxing and traditional boxing clubs? The big difference is that all of the kids that go to therapy boxing are in therapy, they're in counseling. So these kids, young kids, teenagers, they come from New Horizon Counseling Center, and the therapist, or if they're seeing me, feel that it's a good fit. Uh, and the way we look at that, we take into consideration what they're going through, what kind of issues they're having. For example, if they're having issues with depression, social anxiety, or if they've been victims of sexual abuse, or if they've been exposed to domestic violence, bullied, like we talked about in the last video, cutters, and of course, if they're on the autism spectrum, if they have Asperger's, low self-esteem, and of course also grief. That's another area where, we see kids and we refer them to the therapy boxing. We've had young kids that have been exposed to grief because of murders or suicides and things like that, and they're carrying a lot of emotions inside. And so therapy boxing is a good fit. So, in a nutshell, if you have a teen or young adult or a child who has interest in boxing, I don't feel like everybody needs to go to therapy boxing. There's a lot of good boxing clubs in the DFW Metroplex, a lot of good trainers out there who, have the right concept of why they're working with kids and things like that. And so, however, if you have a child or a teen that's suffering with some type of mental health issues, and they're struggling, you see them with a lot of anger, with once again, depression, or if you know where it comes from, like the sexual abuse or you're exposed to domestic violence, you get them into counseling. And, with counseling, we kind of look at things and where they're at, and of course, we give them the coping skills. And to me, boxing is another form of a coping skill. It's another form of letting go some of the emotions that they have inside of them. And so uh, that's why I recommend therapy boxing in that sense. Now, with Paulie Ayala as a trainer, so he's a lot of times, with him one on one, and he knows the story. We have all of the parents of our participants sign a waiver that they know that I will be talking to Polly about the situation of their child. And so what we do is, for example, I'll let them know, hey, this is a young girl that has been sexually abused. So, I have talked to Polly, we have worked together, and he knows at that point, okay, I need to maintain a distance. I need to, make sure she's comfortable with me, when I'm teaching her, and things like that. Kids that have Asperger's, he understands that they're not being disrespectful, but they may not look at him in the eye. They may not respond like some of the other kids. Uh, and so I'm looking around as well for that, that I see if a participant's a little bit uncomfortable, I'll go over there and talk to them and say, how you feeling? And, get them back focused on, what they were doing. Um, and so we work together very hard to help these kids and to bridge that gap to where, it's neat when they first come in, they're timid, they're scared, they're angry. And so as we bridge that gap, as they have a little bit of more faith in us, and that okay, I can be comfortable with them. They start to develop these skills. They'll start to help some of the other kids, the newer ones. It's a neat progress just to see how they evolve into someone that's more healthy, that's dealing with their issues. Everybody's at a different phase. Uh, and that's another thing. We don't put rankings, or okay, if you reach this level you're going to this level, or you're in the silver or you're in the gold, or no, it's for them. And they go at their own pace. One day they may be giving 100%, next day they're just struggling emotionally and they just want to be there and kind of unwind, and that's okay. We're not gonna push them and say, no, you didn't do 15 push-ups, you need to finish them. No, this is for them, and this is one of the things I explained to the parents. This isn't to make them into the next Paulie Ayala, or the next great boxer. This is for them so that they have an outlet, an emotional outlet. This is why it's therapeutic. This is why it's called therapy boxing. Once again, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please send them to me. Or if you want to know more about that, please call New Horizon Counseling Center, and we'll be more than glad to explain more details to you. Thank you.